the event itself was so monumental that people were unable to digest it or to absorb it.
The economic downturn in Germany in the wake of World War I had the German people looking for a scapegoat. Anti-Semitism grew in tandem to the political power of Adolf Hitler, a charismatic and determined leader who entered the political scene with a plan already in place to extinguish the Jewish race. Quickly, Jewish persecution grew, from simple marriage laws to mass internment, and finally culminated in a Holocaust that took the lives of 6 million Jews, as well as millions of other minority groups.
So that it really was kind of in the 60s, 70s, and certainly the 80s, that people began examining the Holocaust in a much more academic way.
But much of this academic study came from authors, poets, and artists who felt the need to share their stories with the world. In the decades after World War II, survivors began publishing memoirs that present perhaps the rawest study of the atrocities against the Jewish race.
A friend of mine who is Jewish was a high school teacher up in rural Maine. And there was an incident that happened to her. It actually happened on a repeated basis, where non-Jews would be speaking with her. They'd find out that she was Jewish. And the comment that they would make would be, "Oh, you're Jewish. I love Holocaust literature." And my friend never knew exactly what to say or how to respond to that. But what she took that as an indication of was that people's primary exposure to being Jewish, or to Judaism or to Jewishness, was through the Holocaust.
Authors like Primo Levi have written numerous works of nonfiction in an attempt to educate generations of scholars and preserve their stories of survival. The Periodic Table, one of Levi's most celebrated novels, was published in the mid-70s just as countless other Holocaust writers began publishing their stories. Unlike a lot of Holocaust writing, this memoir is written through the lens of his work as a chemist and portrays his life in fascist Italy during World War II. His story of trying to stay under the radar for as long as possible in order to avoid the camps provides a rare look at a Jewish man who succeeded in avoiding the camps, at least for a while. The Periodic Table is a testament to the perseverance of man and the awesome power of a religious-like dedication to one's craft. Through chemistry, Levi tells a story of reconciliation with history by documenting his personal struggles with failure and persecution. Levi's extended metaphor of science and life is woven seamlessly to express that the mind and one's identity as a thinking individual cannot be compromised, no matter what adversity stands in the way.
I sometimes wonder if people have the tools necessary to put the Holocaust into context and to be able to draw modern lessons from it. Whether there are lessons about how do we treat other people, how are we more inclusive, how do we be reflective about the violence in our own midst or in the discrimination that people currently suffer. So I often wonder whether or not people have taken lessons away from the Holocaust that are translatable into their own lives. I wouldn't say that that's a specific Lehigh issue, but that's something that I'd be curious about in society as a whole.